everybody, it's Sharon here. Welcome back to my channel for those who are returning, and welcome to any new subscribers that may be visiting for the first time. So as you can see, I have a great big pile of bits and pieces on my desk, not the clean start that I try and have usually when I start my video. I have been watching Gayle Agostinelli on YouTube, and she has jumped on board what seems to be the new freight train that's going through the crafting world at the moment. And she is making snippet rolls from book pages. And I was watching her video and I thought, what a fun way to use up bits and pieces that are left over. And, well, basically I wanted to jump on board that train too. So I've gone through, I had a pile of scraps to my left from working on this journal that I'm working on at the moment, and it has caused some of the clutter that has been building up next to me, and I've mentioned that before. I also have some tidbits on this side that I haven't moved yet, but I just thought this was a really fun way to use those scraps. And also, because I'm on a bit of a time frame with this journal and I wanted to make some more journaling cards and things, I was like, what a fun way to make bulk journaling cards and tags and things like that. So firstly, I'd like to thank Gayle very much for sharing, and also to Rachel from Roxy Creations and Carol Law, which is where I believe Gayle mentioned that she first saw the ideas. So I will try and link those people in the description below for you. Before I start on this, I just wanted to show you, I have collaged these. I will move these little bits out of the way. Not too far because I'll need them. I have collaged these journaling cards. What I haven't done is the back of them. And I've also decided not to sew around them. I think I've done that twice now while working on this journal. Once with the bookmarks and now with these, where I've mentioned that I'm going to sew around them. And once I've glued everything down, I've changed my mind. So I liked them the way they are, basically. And I decided that I don't feel like adding stitching is going to add a whole lot to it. By way of making it more beautiful than it already is. So I'm not going to add any stitching, so I just wanted to share with you. I'll bring them closer. I was trying not to change my focus because I have this tendency to do that and then not change it back, and it's scaring me a little bit. So so that's the first one, and then the second one. I just love the way they've turned out. So I will just add some tea stain paper to the back of those, and then they are good to go. And look at me remembering to change my focus back. So as a set, that's how they look. Never mind the mess. I'm sorry about the mess. So really happy with those. I was almost going to start videoing before I glued those down, and I went, no, I just need to finish one thing before I move on to the next. Well, finished as in almost finished, because I haven't glued the tea stain paper on the back. I'm doing that a lot at the moment. I'm thinking so far ahead of myself, I'm not finishing what I'm saying. So okay, so basically this is taking book pages, and when I was watching Gayle, she was just using the book pages out of her glue book. I have just used these while I glued the pieces onto those journaling cards that I've just shown you. I did lose a little piece of one of my images here, which was, it was actually the picture image, and it didn't really matter because I was covering that area with something else, so I just went with it. Now, what I did want to mention is I have more than just antique papery papers in here. There are a couple of pieces from, I think, Journal Centric, Digital Curio. That may be all. Most of it is antique papery, and most of it is papers left over from the project I'm working on. Aside from that, I have music paper. I also have a couple of pieces of this packaging paper that has the gesso over the top, and I also have some of the tissue paper. And I did grab, so this is the only full sheet that I have here, but this is the one that I actually started to ink around to check against my journal cover. So I'm thinking I will tear, well, let me tear that piece off now. I just wanted to tear it off where the ink is. And, you know, I may use that piece yet, I don't know. So I'm thinking I may. Now I've noticed that when doing this, Gayle hasn't been inking. She's been inking after she creates things or as she creates things using the paper. There's two things about this process that scare me a little bit. So I'm jumping out of my comfort zone to do this, and thank you so much, because I wouldn't have been that brave, Gayle, if you hadn't have shared. The first one is using papers with straight lines. I don't usually tend to do that. If I am collaging and there are straight lines, I usually stop and tear the straight lines to give me an uneven finish. Personal preference, no particular reason why. And the other thing is I usually ink as I go, and I'm not doing that either. So one of the things I'm curious about with this process is just how sturdy the tags and pockets and things are once they're cut. And you'll see what I mean as I get going if you haven't seen this process before. I'm interested to see, when I make tags and tucks and things, I usually use more than one layer of book paper. And there usually aren't any joins. Now, because these rolls have joins, I'm intrigued to see how stable and sturdy these are once they're put together and they dry. Because if it's as fabulous as it looks, this is going to be the best way of making bulk ephemera that I think I've ever seen. And it was so fun to watch, just collaging piece after piece after piece, and I'm thinking it's going to be just as fun to make them. So I actually was going to do a second set of journaling cards the way I made the last ones, and I may still do that because I've prepped the book pages. But I was watching this while I ate my lunch, and I was just like, I was torn. I really wanted to have a go. Okay, and I'm going to tear that little piece off because you never know when a filler might be needed. I planned to make the other journaling cards, which I also need for my journal, but then I was like, this could be a really, really fun and easy way. Well, first of all, I was just like, it just looks like fun, and it's a super way to use up scraps and make lots of ephemera at the same time, which I need to do. And I was like, this could be a really time efficient way to make what I need to make for this journal. So here I go. So I really love that, but I want to stick to start with because I want to use these in I've got all my big pieces on top and all my smaller pieces on the bottom. I want to use this in the journal I'm working in at the moment, so I want to stick to those papers as much as possible just for now. Mostly because that kickstarts me for making what I want to make, which is so exciting. Okay, I hope you're all fabulous. I haven't had much of a break between my last video and this one. trying to kick some goals. Oh, that page is very tacky there. Goodness. Okay, some people don't burnish in between. I like to, makes my process a little bit slower, but I feel like it's worth it. So now I do have these really delicious papers from a music book. In actual fact, that opens up like that. And I'm not sure I want to use this here, but it's very fragile, this paper too. I may even just use a snippet of this. Just there. This piece. And of course this is digital curio paper, and I did mention I was using antique papery, but I have used this on the tags that I've just made, so I'm okay with adding this because it will be in the journal anyway. And basically we're just going to fill in the blanks. Don't know if there's a better way to say it. Just covering our book papers with all of these beautiful patterned and printed papers. I really love that. That paper did just tear a little bit at the top corner there, so I do need to be a little bit careful. I may actually, I just want to burnish that part down. Okay. So I think I'm ready to add this one. What do I want to use? Well, that piece is just kind of sitting there talking to me. Sit that up there for the next piece. So all we do is we fill in the blanks as we go, and we keep adding more papers as we need to until we end up with a great big long strip of collage papers. And I know that Gayle, when she did hers, she did the patterned and printed papers on one side and then collaged the back with blank or tea stain paper, so journaling type paper on the back, and that allowed her to create tags and journaling cards and things like that. The other option is to leave it blank on the back, and then you can use those pages to create pockets and tuck spots and the like. So I haven't decided, because I want to make some journaling cards and tags, sorry, for this journal. I'm probably going to put some journaling papers on the back, but I'm hoping I can keep this going and just keep adding to it and do a little bit of both. So okay, I need to stop thinking so much about what I'm doing and just do. Love it. I do need to find something to fill in the spaces over here. And after watching Gayle make hers, I think the most exciting part is not knowing how the finished pieces will look until you actually trim them. So there's an element of surprise in the crafting that we don't normally get. Well, I know that usually when I collage, I collage with intent. So don't really want to cover over that beautiful old paper, so my fingers are really tacky already. This could be really therapeutic for me in the fact that I'm not inking. So it might open up a whole faster new way of doing things, I'm thinking. Well, it's already faster. Okay, and something for that tiny area. Oh, what about a little piece of... I have the word contagion under there, and I'm like, I don't really want to see that. So that's fun. Yep. That's the thing when using tissue paper, you do need to be aware of what's underneath. Okay, so that's like one book page done already, and for me that's like world record pace. Now this isn't from a set that I'm using at the moment, but I really like it, so... But I don't really want to add it there. I've got straight lines there already, so I'm looking for something a little bit... That could be fun. I'm not sure about asking your neighbour, but again, don't know how they will cut up and how much of that phrase will be seen once they're actually cut. So I might end up with ask and the words your neighbour on two separate pieces of ephemera, just depending on how it works. Now I'm keeping my orientation all one way. That is personal preference. I did think about changing it up, but I was like, I don't want to change up too much of the way I do things too soon, or it will mess with my head. Yep. Or do I want that? I might want that down there actually. So just fluffing through. The hard part is that I don't have room to spread out my scraps so I can actually see what I have. I've already got a word there. I like that because it almost looks like it's a continuation of the picture above, which isn't intentional, but it kind of works for me. And once it's on a pocket or a tag, it may not end up looking like that at all, but for now, I was actually looking for something more contrasty, but that works. Need to move that. Looking for a spot on my glue page that's not tacky. And that one is tacky now. This is going to get really tricky actually with the amount of limited space that I have, because I'm just like, I need to scooch this across again, and which means I've now done 2 book pages. That's exciting. And the collage pieces are on that side. So, okay. Moving right along. So I have this piece, which I'm going to pop up there. Again, trying not to think about it too much. Obviously, I have thought about some pieces that I've put down. Natural instinct, sorry, I can't help myself. Now I'm singing a song in my head. Don't know if you can guess what it is. But like I said, once you start doing this, and I think because I'm only really using papers from a couple of collections, which I already know, I'm actually thinking maybe I should have added my next page and use this to join them. Hindsight. Sticking. Okay. Kind of like taking these strips here to join because they're different on both sides of, so they're a double page spread basically. Well, maybe that's staying there. Well, that was funny. Oh golly. I'm pulling my wings in at the moment because I can feel the walls closing in. Okay, I don't actually know how far down this piece I need to glue. Well, probably have done too much already. Going to maybe I should have attempted this off camera first. Okay, so there's a fun little scrap there. So I have in here somewhere some triangle pieces. Might pop that there, I think. I think the hard part about these, aside from, oh, I've run out of glue stick. Well, that's unfortunate. I do need to go and get some more. I do have some spares, but my supplies are getting low, and I was like, I really need to restock. So yes, I was just thinking the hard part will be making sure I don't go over time, because I feel like this is one of those things you could just keep doing and doing and doing. It's actually a good activity for me to do when hubby's home, because I can prep these and then make ephemera. Either off camera or on camera, but this is an awesome idea. I don't actually know exactly whose idea it was, but props to you. If you could just do something about creating my a bigger workspace for me to do these in, that would be awesome. I like that down there, but I might make it smaller, because then I have another little scrap that I can use elsewhere. Fun little strip. Not sure where I'll put it, but I'll find somewhere. I must say, I've been watching, no surprises, I've been watching Gayle do her crafting, and she has her scraps sorted in order of size, and I keep thinking to myself, I really should try doing that. I think it would be great. The hard part would be getting in and actually sorting them to start with, but the more I watch the way it works for her, the more I keep thinking it would be an awesome thing to do for myself. It's on my to-do list. It's just one more thing, really, isn't it? So I have these little pieces here from Journal Centric. Gosh, that was testing the grey matter. And I thought the colours, I don't actually keep, I have to my, I keep changing my train of thought. Sorry about that, guys. I have to my left my little bucket of scrap papers. Well, it's more like a tub. I'll just glue this down and I'll show you. And it's probably not so little. Okay. See, that's page number 3. Oh my gosh, that's exciting. Okay, so this is my tub of scrap papers. It's chock-a-block full. I did pull this off for a different project. Didn't end up using it, so, and most of them are not pattern paper, or what I'm trying to say is I don't tend to put my pattern paper scraps in there. I tend to leave my pattern paper scraps with the pattern paper. So I have the folders. Let's see if I can show you. Not that one. I have my folders that have a particular, so this is Journal Centric, a particular digital artist. And as you see here, I've got my scraps in there. So I tend to keep my scraps like that, which is great for some projects. But, sorry, I think I just popped the camera up. But for things like collaging, it means that I only really have scraps from the digital artist that I'm working with. If I go to collage something, I don't have multiple scraps. And I started doing it like that because, well, partly because it jogged my memory as to who the papers belonged to, and I was a little bit nervous at one stage that I wouldn't remember if I was using a paper or if I was asked who the paper belonged to. But I'm finding more and more that it's not necessarily as user-friendly as I thought. It's great if I'm creating things and I want to stick to the same designer because the tones or papers work together. But for random collaging, it means I then have to go through all of those folders to pull out all of my scraps. So they're just not readily available. So I don't know which is better. I really don't. For the most part, I haven't really had an instance where I've wanted to collage with multiple pattern papers from different artists. So I guess in that respect, that's why my current system has worked. But this is a game changer. So I may need to rethink. Don't know what I have. Some sort of ink or something. Thinking about there. No, there's not a whole lot of glue on this page now, so I might just use this one. My glue book is actually a bit tacky, but I have nowhere to put it at the minute. You're going to see me continue to fumble because I'm space challenged at the moment, so I feel like every time I go to pick something up, it's buried under something else, and unfortunately, that is just the way it is. So that's a really fun strip I might use in a moment. I think I might use that whole piece. Now I am using some larger strips, some larger scraps because I have them here. It's not working that way. And they go with the papers that I'm using. The reason I have such large scraps is because I've used little pieces off here, and I did question whether or not this was how I wanted to use them, but when I stopped to think about it, I was just like, well, where do I want it? I think I might go in the center. I was just like, they go with the papers that I'm using, and that's what I want to work on now or next, so I might as well, because I can use this for lots of different things. I've got a handle in my craft mat underneath, and the glue stick wasn't even connecting with the paper then. Perfect. And I'm thinking that will work. Okay. So I was going to put that higher and change my mind. I'm like, can I scooch that across any further? Pretty please. Okay. Why not? Stop overthinking it. Oh, that page has to go. Okay. Now I have another page there that I can add, but I don't have room. I think I might add that there and have some overhang ready for my next page, aka the one I just set up there. But I'm not going to attach that page just yet, mostly because I don't have room. I might find a piece for it across the top there. I like that. Part of me really wanted to put that long ways, so I think once I have completed this page to here, I may start doing different orientations just to change it up and see if I like it. I like that piece there. So instead of finding pieces to suit a space according to orientation. I will be finding pieces to suit a space according to... I realised that that piece was upside down, which takes me to where I was thinking. So in the next section, I won't mind if something's upside down or sideways. I'm just going to pop it there because it fits the space. That goes that way. Okay. Which should be a faster way to do it again. I'm just not sure how it will translate to, say, something like a pocket or anything for that matter. I'm not sure how that will work for me personally. Whether it will mess with my head too much. And I guess for me, the reason I worry about that is because I'm likely to not use it if I struggle with that side of things. I'll tell myself that I will, but then I won't. Okay. I do kind of want a couple of pieces that will overhang just to allow me to attach the next piece. And that's from a different paper set, but I think I'm going to use that. And I'm really sorry, but I'm not quite sure which one. Excuse me. I'm not sure if it's the butterfly house. I'm honestly not sure. It's an antique papery paper, I do know that. I shouldn't be so sure of myself. It's just as likely that I'll catch myself out. Okay. So, and I still have a lot of scraps there, guys. So I think I've got 5 book pages, which is just crazy and exciting. So I'm wondering where I'm at for time. Okay, I've got a little bit of time that I can start collaging some papers on the back. And I didn't prep for that, so okay, I'm just going to make a start with these. Now I think this is the first side, so I'm kind of going to work backward, I think. And I may pop that down there, I'm thinking. And again, I don't even think I have any of my coloured tea stain papers. I might actually see if I can pull out some of those and have some of those at the ready too. I think I've got those scraps in a separate folder as well. And they might be really fun on the back of these journaling cards. Or tags or whatever I make out of them. Whoops. Okay. And I really don't care if they're big or small pieces at the back. Sorry, I'm jiggling the camera and everything else around it. Just trying to get those creases out of. That did it. If I have a little bit of overhang, I can cut those off later. There's a packaging paper here that I thought might be fun to add. This shiny side down. It looks like I've tried to punch that and it didn't work. Sorry, I don't even know if you can see the glue book. To tear that little piece off. I truly have really tacky fingers right now. Okay, this is just out of a book. Some old book paper. This is, it's actually a paper bag that we get from our supermarket. I think it might be a Black and Gold brand. I have a couple of different paper bags from different shops. I've got things stuck to my fingers. From different shops that we can get. And this reminds me very much of the straw paper that I've seen. So wondering if there is a, I don't really think it matters The inside seems to have a bit more texture, but the outside is smoother, and I know it can be written on, so I'm going to go with the smoother side on the top. Oops. I probably didn't need to cover as much of that book paper, but oh well, I did. So that's one book page covered already. I'm just going to see if, see what scraps I have in here. So I have that. Oh yes, lots of scraps in here. We'll have a play with those as well. Lots and lots of scraps. So that's what I mean. I don't necessarily keep them in my scrap paper container, which probably, you know, 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. But when I'm looking for scraps, they're not the things that I find. So, okay, so let's play with some colours. I love that. Oh gosh. So for anybody who doesn't know, these tea stain papers are a digital kit that I have created using some papers that I have tea stained myself, and I've turned those into a digital. I don't have them for sale at this stage, but I am working towards opening an Etsy shop. So there you go, I've put it out there. That kind of puts the pressure on me, and I'm considering offering them in my Etsy shop when I get that going. So I have been using these for quite a while now, and I've used them in lots and lots of different projects, and I love them. I love the pop of colour that they bring. I just think they're really, really fun. So this is just a piece, I think it's off music paper. It's the edge from a piece that I've torn the edges off. And it's quite a, it's not a really thick paper or anything, but it's quite sturdy. Thinking I might pop that over there. Oops, too much glue. This piece of paper is out of a diary that I basically dissected to use in my journals. It's like a, I don't remember if it was a diary or a memo book, something along those lines. Too much the same. Oops, they shouldn't be there. Maybe I'll go with a piece of that. My ruler I've buried. And this is quite firm, just so that you know, because it was a question I had, and even like my join would be in there somewhere. I'm hoping you can see. And it's quite solid, quite flat. I wasn't sure if it would feel like it would curl up. Doesn't feel like that at all. Here's a slightly longer piece for there. I have this graph paper, which would be fun. I'm going to add that, and I will tear off the excess once it's down. So I have another book page. This is so exciting. This is making me beyond happy. Need to scooch my chair a bit closer. I feel like I'm a long way away. Don't know how that happened. So this is tea stain graph paper. I'm not really sure how interesting it is watching me do this, but I'm excited. So excited. Some of the papers I'm using, like this packaging paper and even the paper bag, they're quite thin. So I am trying to make sure I burnish them down really, really well. Partly to get the creases out, because they're thin, they do have a tendency to crease quite easily with the glue, and also to make sure they adhere really well. This is actually a great way to collage so that you're not overthinking. Like, I am a thinker from way back. And yes, there's certain processes that or parts that I'm thinking about, but I certainly feel like it's helping me to let go a little bit, which is so cool. I think there. I'm not sure I've got enough glue at the tip of that. Okay. Yep. Oops. Sent things flying. Bits everywhere. And I just realized that I actually have to clean this up once I'm done, so I thought maybe I could glue it on as is, but I think it's a bit much. Put that there. And I think if I went through and organized my scraps a bit better, I think this would be even more fun and even easier, which is kind of scary because it's already very, very easy and very, very fun. And just the idea of having so many pieces that I can use for ephemera, I can't even tell you. Like, I'm beyond excited about that. There. So I've got almost enough pages. I think I've got 4 pages from my glue book that I could have added to this as I've been working, which is, it would have doubled the size if I was just working on the side with the pattern paper. So that's pretty awesome. Not sure how I'm going for time. I feel like I'm probably getting close to my hour. Possibly even have scooched over a little bit. Oops. going to check. Yes, I have scooched over. I might just fill in this piece. Oh, I use this. Fabulous. Oops. Yes, thank you very much. I'm sorry, I'm literally thinking about how excited I am about this. I was feeding off of Gayle's excitement when I was watching her video, and now that I'm doing it myself, I'm like, I can totally understand and appreciate why she was loving it so much. And popping that piece in there. Oops. I think my glue stick just went underneath my book paper. Indeed it did. Never mind. That's why I have paper towel. Oh gosh, would you look how pretty that is? I want to keep going, but I'm like, I'm out of time. So I'm even loving the back of that. I just think that's so, so fun. And then we have the front, trying to fit it all in. So we have managed to collage about 5 sheets of book paper back and front in roughly an hour, and I am beyond excited. I'm just noticing a little spot here that's not quite covered, so I'm wondering where that little piece of tissue paper is, because I think it would be the perfect solution for there. Here we go. Yep, let me do that. I could have done that off camera, but I'm a sharer. I have made quite a mess. And that just curled. If I can rescue it. Fabulous. Fun, fun, fun. Okay, so that little piece of tissue paper even came in handy just to cover up that tiny missed spot, and you would never know by looking at it. Okay, so a huge shout out to Gayle for sharing so that I saw this video. A huge shout out to Rachel from Roxy Creations and also to Carol Law for sharing before that so that Gayle saw this fabulous and fun idea. I'm sorry I haven't cleared my desk so that you get a better view of what we've created, but I'm so excited to make some things out of this. I really want to keep going, but I don't know whether I should or whether I should just start making some ephemera out of it. I'll see what happens. Maybe I'll keep going off camera because I can. And then when I join you next, we might make some things out of it. So I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I've enjoyed both watching somebody else do it and I've enjoyed making it myself. So please don't forget to hit like, give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification and select all so that you don't miss any future videos. And always feel free to comment. I look forward to hearing from you. Happy crafting, everybody. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.